right, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. There's been a little bit of time that has passed since the Final Shape launched, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the best weapons from the Final Shape to go ahead and dominate PvE. This list is only going to be talking about weapons that were released with the Final Shape or some of the Echoes episode weapons, as there's a couple in there that are really good, and it'd be a crime to leave them out. There will also be another weapon that we talk about here that we got back in March, but it got a perk refresh. So it's a new weapon, and we're going to have to talk about it. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and start it up with some of the primaries. So we are going to have at least 2 exotics here. One for a fact is going to be Red Death, as the Destiny 2 version of the Red Death is very strong. Basically, it has built-in Devour, as final blows with this weapon cure you and increases reload speed, and then reloading after final blows cures nearby allies. Very good. You can literally just like slot this anywhere just to give yourself some good survivability. Keep in mind, in Act 2, we get the catalyst for it, which will allow you to be leaving little healing auras, which is going to be very good. Pulse Rifle's got a nice buff going into Final Shape, and Red Death feels very good, and it is very good. Now, as a little honorable mention here, I just briefly want to mention Kvastov. I'm not saying it's S tier, but it's definitely not F tier. It has shoot to loot. You pick up 1 orb. It's going to strengthen the weapon for the next several ricochet shots and allowing them to bounce multiple times. We did a whole Salvation's Edge challenge run with the Kvastov, so I definitely don't want to call it dog water. Now we're going to move into some of the actual legendaries. We're going to start off with the healing auto rifle itself, the No Hesitation. I really like this weapon personally. The support frame is really awesome. Being able to give your allies restoration basically at will is a very strong tool, and the perk Physic allows you to give yourself ×2 resto whenever you heal your teammates. Basically, this is ×2 resto in a weapon on demand. I personally like mine with Circle of Life as its 3rd column option, but this weapon does have very good perks to choose from. So now we're going to talk about 2 of the raid weapons, because dude, some of these raid weapons from Salvation's Edge, dude, they are really good. First one I want to talk about is the non-denouement. This is the legendary Trinity Ghoul, as it does have Volt Shot in its 4th column, and in some situations it might actually be better than Trinity Ghoul just because it's applying jolt to everything. And because it's a bow, you're like, it's always going to be up. You can also pair it with something like Archer's Tempo or Shoot to Loot in the weapon's 3rd column. But this is a bow that people have been waiting for since Volt Shot was introduced in Season 18. So you know we had to mention it here. And then the last primary that I wanted to talk about is the Nullify. This, of course, is the Salvation's Edge raid pulse rifle. It's a heavy burst, and it has some absolute juicer perks. Of course, the perk that people are mostly going to be looking at in the 3rd column is Heal Clip. You get a kill, reload, you heal yourself, and nearby allies for that matter as well. What's not to like about Heal Clip? Especially if you're on a solar subclass, that just means you're proccing Ember of Benevolence just that more often, so you can spam your abilities that more consistently. Other good perks in the 3rd column, of course, would be something like Demolitionist, maybe Firefly, or even Rapid Hit. But let's be real here, most people are looking at Heal Clip. And then in the 4th column, you know, people are looking at Incandescent, Heal Clip, Incandescent, you know, solar, subclass, and a weapon, kind of goes hard. And then the other perk that I like a lot on all of these weapons is Chaos Reshaped. This is a perk that basically is Power Creep Frenzy, as being in combat for 12 seconds will grant a stack of Chaos Reshape for 7 seconds, and then as long as you maintain that first stack for 12 seconds, that's when you get the 2nd stack. And all you have to do to proc being in combat is either deal damage or receive damage. Very easy perk to proc. You will literally proc it without even thinking about it. It's that good. It'll be at ×2 very consistently as well. And at ×2, it gets a 35% damage buff. ×1, it's a 20%. But this is definitely going to be the easiest way to get a 35% damage buff on any weapon that has it. Unfortunately, it's only the raid weapons that have this perk. Oh, and as a little cherry on top, you get a little healing burst that releases every 7 seconds for a little 35 HP heal. Honestly, such a great perk. Now, I know we only talked about 6 primary weapons in this part of the video, but just bear with me, as I don't really want to fill it with too much filler. You can make a case for, I like this weapon, I like that weapon, I feel you. But I'm trying to talk about some standouts that are worth chasing. With that being said, we move on over to the special weapons. We now segue over to the meat and potatoes of the video, special weapons. We will start off with the biggest bang of all bangs, the still hunt, aka the sniper rifle that was able to help solo the witness. Shout out to Mr. Bog. That's an impressive feat. We all know this thing is insanely cracked out, especially if you're on a hunter with Celestial Nighthawk. Pop still hunt and then your golden gun to give your golden gun a damage buff, then follow up with your still hunt. That's 1,000,000 damage in a very short amount of time, and it's very easy to build that back up, especially if you're doing the Apex rotation with it. We all know how insanely juiced still hunt is, and it's a freaking special weapon. Although Bungie did say they are going to be nerfing it in the future, I feel like everybody expected that. Now we'll move on to another exotic. This one's a bit more of an honorable mention, as you do have to put a lot of work into it to really get the big bonus out of it. Of course, we're talking about the raid exotic, Euphony, the Strand 3-round burst linear fusion rifle. And the main thing about this weapon is that threadlings increase the own weapon's damage, meaning if you were on something like a Strand or Prismatic Warlock with Apotheosis, you can yeet your super, yeet some threadling grenades to juice up to spindle times 25, so you're at max damage. And when it is at max, it is actually pretty darn impressive. But if you're not spec'd into it with threadlinks, it's not going to be nearly as good, so I just put it here as an honorable mention. I also put Lost Signal here just because, like, I feel like it's a very good frame, at least for ad clearing purposes. It's not going to do boss damage worth of junk, but for clearing out ads, it's very good in that aspect. In that aspect, it would be a legendary Witherhorde. I also have the Perfect Paradox here. The main reason I have the Perfect Paradox here is because it's going to be the main kinetic rapid fire frame shotgun that people are going to go get. It rolls things like Trench Barrel, 1-2 Punch, and Vorpal in the 4th column, and then maybe something like Slide Shot or Field Prep in its 3rd column. But being a rapid fire frame kinetic shotgun, hey man, we take that, we take that. Now the next weapon honestly should come to literally no surprise, dude. It's the Call, the Strand rocket pistol, the only rocket pistol we can use in the kinetic slot. But I'm just happy that we have a rocket pistol to use in the kinetic slot, because rocket pistols are some of the best frames of any weapon in the game. They are so universally good anywhere and everywhere. This thing can roll something like Lead from Gold, Beacon rounds in the 3rd column, and then maybe like Vorpal or Hatchling. Nah, maybe like One for All. But it does also have something like Demolicious in the 3rd column as well. A lot of different good perks you can go for on this weapon, and overall there's just so many good things going for the Call. One of the most popular weapons in the game right now, and it's for good reason. Shout out to the rocket pistols, my man. Now, this next weapon might be a little bit of a sleeper, but we did recently make a video on it. It is from Salvation's Edge. It's the Glaive. Come on, bro, y'all. He thought we were gonna talk about a damn glaive. You crazy. It's the Critical Anomaly, the sniper rifle, an aggressive frame stasis sniper rifle with perks like Chill Clip in the 3rd column, but it also have banger perks in the 3rd column, such as Reconstruction and maybe Rewind Rounds. But Reconstruction and Chill Clip are the main 2 perks in the 3rd column for me for this weapon. And then in the 4th column, I would definitely go with Chaos Reshape to pair with Reconstruction. Honestly, I just love Chaos Reshape. It's so good. It does have bait and switch, but that is a lesser damage buff that you have to put just a little bit more effort into proccing. And yeah, it does have a little fun gimmick roll of Rebound Rounds and Triple Tap. Okay, now this next weapon, it's a little bit special because it released in March, had so much hype behind it, and then completely fucked up the landing terribly. Like, this was one of the worst concoctions of events that we've seen this year. We're talking about the Wild Style, a solar double fire frame grenade launcher. Double fires do the most base damage out of any grenade launcher frame, meaning it was perfect for a damage rotation, and then we saw its perk pool. It was terrible. However, earlier in June, the week after the final shape, I believe is when they actually refreshed this weapon's perk pool. And they didn't change too much, but what they did change was exponential. They gave it Reconstruction in the 3rd column, and then either Vorpal Weapon or Bait and Switch in the 4th column, meaning it now fulfills its role as a weapon you would use in a damage rotation. Thank you. Shout out to the return and the Wild Style hitting its peak. Now, these next 2 weapons are insane. Here we go, fellas. We have the new coming of the Martyr's Retribution. Will be available in Act 3. of the Echoes episode. This is a solar wave frame, actually the first wave frame ever, and it's coming back with a vengeance. Why? Because not only is this going to finally be the incandescent wave frame we've been asking for so long now at this point, but it also has things like heal clip, demolitionist, or auto-loading holster in the third column. New Age Martyrs is an absolute monster. When Act 3 hits, go chase this wave frame. You will love how good it is with incandescent, and then especially if you get heal clip, dude, juice or demolitionist juice. So much juice in this weapon. And then another absolute banger that we will receive this Tuesday, able to craft, is honestly one of the I've never been more excited for a weapon more than this one in such a long time, because we knew this weapon was coming down the pipeline for a long time. But it's the solar rocket pistol, the aberrant action. The aberrant action, the AA, has heal clip, incandescent, and it's a rocket pistol. Rocket assisted frame sidearms are so good. We are already glazing the call. Anytime we have a rocket pistol, it gets glazed because they're just so good, dude. They really are. And this one might simply be the best of them all. You'll have a rocket pistol that will be able to heal you very often, every time you get a kill and then reload. And then you're going to be spreading Scorch and ignitions inevitably with incandescent in the fourth column. Simply put, this thing is going to be amazing. I am so excited to get this weapon on Tuesday. Y'all get locked and loaded to go get this weapon, and I hope you got some Echo Ingrams stored up and ready to go. All right, fellas, so now we have arrived at the heavy weapons, and I'll be brutally honest here, there's not that many new heavy weapons that are better than stuff that we already had going into the final shape, but there are at least two that I would like to talk about. The first one is an exotic. Of course, we are referring to the microcosm. I know. The heavy kinetic trace rifle. Are you serious, bro? Yes. It's, for what it does, it's really good against like subjugators, and it's not like any damage dealing monster. It's okay. It's like Thunderlord 2.0 basically, but for maybe dealing with like heavy majors, and it's really good against shielded enemies. It's a very unique weapon, and it definitely has some strengths, so I did want to mention it. And then our legendary heavy weapon that we're going to be talking about is the Scintillation. This, of course, is the Adaptive Burst Strand Linear Fusion Rifle from the Vanguard from Nightfalls. It has a very interesting combo of rewind rounds with Vice Stinger that basically allows for it to honestly never reload in some of the best situations, especially if you're like shooting a div bubble, as it being a 3-round burst works really good with rewind rounds, and that also gives more opportunity for Vice Stinger to proc each single bolt of the burst, which is pretty good. It is a linear fusion rifle though, which are long past their glory days, but it is really good with it also having bait and switch in the fourth column. Definitely wanted to mention it because it's the best linear fusion rifle in the game, and if you're a person that likes linears, I hope you get yourself a really good Scintillation. But ladies and gentlemen, that will wrap up my list. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on it. If there's any weapons that I left out that you think I should have put here, go ahead and comment down below. Remember to check out Instant Gaming if you ever want to get any games or DLC for a cheaper price. Do consider subscribing, and we'll see your beautiful faces in the next one. Adios.